سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
We'd like to welcome all the members and all the guests to today's program by the Muslim platform. This will be part of our Muslims in Business series, a continuation, inshallah. And the title of today's program is 80-20 Core for Chunk. That's 80-20 Core for Chunk. And I know a couple of people, or many of us, will be wondering what this means. So inshallah, today, to unpack this topic, we have a beloved brother amongst us, who goes by the name of Yinka Ogunnusi, popularly known as Abu Yasin. And a little bit about the bio of our brother. He is a talent management and capability development consultant. He's also an executive coach and CEO of Talent UK. He has a wealth of experience in the area of human resource management and a wealth of experience when it comes to time served and number of companies and range of companies he's worked for. So inshallah, he has one or two pieces of advice and insight that he's been able to gather over the years that he has kindly agreed to share with our members and our guests. So today, inshallah, our brother Ishaq will be in charge of delivering today's lecture 80-20 Core over Chunk. So I hope that Allah allows us all to benefit from this lecture today. If you have questions, please, inshallah, we do want it to be interactive, so please do post your questions in the chat box. And inshallah, when it is time for the Q&A, I'll be picking from those questions. So please do note them down in the chat box as soon as you have them. And also just to bring everyone's attention to the chat box, I've posted in there one of the appeals we have on for the Muslim platform itself. We would like to register as a charity, inshallah, so that we can expand and continue to reach more people with the work we're doing. So inshallah, if you are able to contribute something one-off or something small but regular, then inshallah, we hope that we have a number of people who have benefited from the programs we put on already and are convinced of the work we're doing and want to be part of this journey to expand it and share and reach more people. So that's to plug that we are, inshallah, trying to become or achieve charitable status. So inshallah, we do need to reach a certain threshold before we're able to pursue that next step. So yeah, for those who have joined the call early, inshallah, you'll be the first ones who are able to benefit and gain reward from this opportunity, inshallah. So without further ado, once again, today's program is another one in our Muslims in Business series, and I'll be handing over to our dear brother to kick us off. Bismillah.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share my tiny thoughts with yourself. And I would say thank you to Tawfiq Abdul Salam and the generality of the Muslim platform family for giving us this opportunity. And also for all of us watching me at home or everywhere you're watching me across the world, I would say thank you very much for allowing me into your space this evening. I'll be sharing my screen. Can we see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Now the idea 80-20, it actually was an idea by Vilfredo Pareto. Now Vilfredo Pareto is an economist and an Italian economist. He discovered that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the population. And this got him thinking, 80% of the land owned by 20% of the population. And if you know about land, you know that ploto pacanto solo seguir, he who owns the land owns whatever is on top of the land. So invariably, 80% of the wealth of Italy was in the hands of 20% of the population. He got so obsessed about this idea, almost a tiny little bit half close to how obsessed I am about it. So Pareto started seeing 80-20 in everything he sets his eyes on. To an extent, he also saw that 80% of peas in his garden actually comes from 20% of the pea plants. And this can be applied to everything around your life. What the 80-20 is actually saying to us is that 80% of results actually come from just 20% of effort. 80% of output actually come from 20% of input. 80% of your customers actually come from 20% of the population of your customers. 80% of your sales come from a 20% of your customer. Now, this 80-20 was so much celebrated, it became a business maxim. And Pareto was right, because even to present day, as I speak to you, 80% of the world wealth rests in the hands of 20% of the world population. Well, I joined the league of obsessed people about 80-20, and as we go along, you see how obsessed I am. And I put it to you, Pareto was actually just a little bit close to being half as obsessed as I became about the 80-20. What led to my obsession? When I read books about 80-20, it was full of calculation, bell curve, here and there. I picked the book and dropped it. I picked it again and dropped it. But when the penny dropped, I said, okay, I'll check this out. And I actually looked at my invoices and voila, I saw that 80% of my revenue actually come from just 20% of a particular type of my customers. Now, when I looked at the 80-20 theorem or principle or rule, I thought about it and my obsession led to the phrase core for chunk. The core that actually deliver the chunk. 80% of things that deliver the chunk. So as we are going, I would want to inform you that I've made this very simple. No bell curve, no pie chart, no bar chart, and things like that. I've made it very, very simple, and I've made a little bit of color separation, and I'll explain that. So what the whole talk is all about is the 20 for 80. We want to know the core 20 that delivers your chunk 80. Now you see the rest in the middle, forget about them. Once you concentrate on that core 20, you always keep afloat. So the core 20 that deliver your chunk 80. If it's your career, what is the core 20 that delivers your chunk 80? If it's progression in your market, if it's building your customers, we are after the core 20 that delivers your chunk 80. Now, what we are looking for is the red that delivers your green. All through this presentation, I want you, irrespective of any noise, and there will be a lot of noise, I promise you, irrespective of any noise or any color flying through your eyes, I want you to concentrate only on the red that delivers the green. Look to that red that delivers the green. We are only interested in the red that delivers the green. Think about it as red hot lead, red hot pepper, call it anything. But just put it in your mind that red is where you stop to think and green is where you want to be. Red is where you stop to think, green is where you want to be. So all through this presentation, just focus on the red for the green. Now, look at that diagram very well. The core 20 I am talking to you about are the people I call high value. Now, the remaining 80% of the population are people I call value adding. Now, it's not that those 80% do not add value, they add value. However, they are just value adding, they are not high value. So you need to know the difference between high value and value adding. So all value adding are not high value, but high value are value adding. So we want to concentrate on the high value 20% that deliver our chunk, whatever your chunk is. Now, another expression for the high value are the vital few. We want to concentrate in your business, in your endeavor, in your personal life, in your progression. If you're an employee somewhere, we want to concentrate on those vital few activities that will develop the chunk of reward. We don't want to look at the trivial many. The trivial many are just trivial many. They only contribute to 20% of what you're looking for. I am expecting to give you 80. So leave the guys that contribute 20, all right? Because I am giving you the guys that actually contribute 80. So we are focusing only on the red for green. Now, 80% of effort actually contributes to 20% of effort rather contributes to 80% of reward. So the effort you put in, 20% contribute to 80% of your reward. And I'll give you an example. You know, you go to work, you be sincere with yourself. How many times do you actually spend? How long do you spend being productive at work? If you sit down to look at it, you see that your 9 to 5, if you narrow it down, the actual productive time you spend at work is about 20% of that's all 100% time you spend at work. The other time you spend on FaceTime, you know, Instagram, chatting, and whatever. But the core that deliver what you are paid for is actually 20% of time you spend at work. So those 20% are the high value and the vital few. We are interested in the red that deliver the green. Let me say something. In anything to do with 80-20, the penny will drop at different time with different individual. You just stick with me, I'll hold your hands and we'll journey through this together. Some people might get it immediately and the light bulb moment comes at the first slide. Some people might get it at the last slide. Some people might not get it even all through. I'm done. They'll have to go back and watch this and watch this and watch this. Do not worry, you're not stupid. I had to read books again and again and again before I got a clue. Now we want to concentrate again, red for green. Are you into sales? I'm saying to you, 20% of your customers are the ones responsible for 80% of your sales. And it goes on and on. Your sales responsible for your revenue responsible for your profit. Now, always start with the end in mind. What we want to do is to replicate those high value activity, to replicate those vital few. If you are into business and you have customers, you look at your invoice and you know the services you render, maybe about 10 different services. And you can narrow it down that out of these 10 services I offer to my customers, these are the 2 services that deliver 80% of my revenue. Those 2 services, you want to master them. If they're a type of customers, master who those customers are, know their characteristics, and replicate them. Once you replicate such customer, for every replica, you have a duplicate. So once you replicate your core 20, you will be duplicating your chunk 80. So start with the end in mind. You want to duplicate your core 20, your chunk 80, you are going to replicate your core 20. So that is it. You know your core 20, you replicate your core 20 to duplicate your chunk 80. Whatever that core 20 might be, just remember that that core 20 is the high value. Replicate that high value, you deliver chunk 80 for yourself. It could be knowing those customers, all right? If you work in an organization and you are thinking, oh, how do I climb my career ladder in this organization? You need to first ask yourself the question, am I part of the vital few employee or the trivial many employee? For you to work your way up, and I'll change the definition of that, working your way up is doing the 80-20 math. Not just walking like a horse. If you want to climb your career ladder, you have to do the 80-20 math to know that what are the high value function in your organization that means the core chunk for your employer. Once you know those high value and you put yourself into doing those high value activity, you begin to become one of the vital few, not the trivial many. Are you the one that just turn up for work and you just want to tick the box and that's it and you want to go home? And you just want to come and do whatever you do every day and you want to go home? Well, you are going to be amongst the trivial many. If you move into being part of the vital few, then the organization start noticing you because you are now doing some activities that means a lot to the organization, like putting yourself forward for more responsibility, deputizing for managers, doing things that other team members might not be putting themselves forward for. Then you are doing what? You are putting yourself in the vital few rather than the trivial many. Hence, you are actually contributing to the core of the organization that delivers their chunk. Hence, you are a high-value employee ready for progression. Now, let's talk. Let's talk some more and let's call for chunk. We'll come back to the slide later. Okay. Now I want to share some 80-20 story with yourself so that you understand how organizations have actually used 80-20 to progress, and how organizations that did not take care of their core actually lost their chunk. Now, I'll tell you about a very love affair of myself that ended in a goodbye, and it's my love for the BlackBerry phone. Now, we went through the journey together, BlackBerry Bold, BlackBerry Curve, and in fact, when the BlackBerry Storm came out, it was the Rolls Royce of phone. It had a gap, so they combined the touch screen and also the click by having the gap, but they didn't mind the gap. So BlackBerry, they enjoyed what you can call exclusivity for so long. They have the chunk of the market when it comes to smartphone or mobile technology. They had the chunk of the market. It was cool for you to have a BlackBerry device with BlackBerry pin, and you can have all those on-the-go type of catching up with work, and it was the big boys thing. But BlackBerry did not spend time to understand the customer psychology of the core that delivered their chunk. So when they thought, they'll have exclusivity of the BlackBerry Messenger till kingdom come, that wasn't the case. Other phone manufacturers like Apple, and if you have it, they were thinking and waiting for when BlackBerry is going to lose exclusivity of like push email, exclusivity of like BlackBerry Messenger and things like that. Because it's quite easy for you now. Everybody has got a push email, but normally you have to go into your email to pull out your email. But now people have push email. And BlackBerry was one of those that actually championed it. But it didn't take so long before BlackBerry reduced to the extent of, other mobile device could actually have you downloading the BlackBerry messaging app on their phone. So a friend that has been convincing me for years, all to no avail, to come on the iPhone side of things, just gave me a call to say, do you know you can actually have your messaging app on iPhone now? And that was it. Bye-bye to BlackBerry. I fell out of love like every other customer of BlackBerry over the globe. I fell into love with another, and I became the core of another. I beat the Apple, and also I said, hello to the temptation, and here I am, hello iPhone. So that is the story of BlackBerry. But one that is a very interesting story, in fact, when I think about this story, I actually named it, I call it the war for chunk, the quest for core. Now it's the Coca-Cola PepsiCo story. You see, Coca-Cola also enjoy what you can call a global untouchable exclusivity for so long. They enjoyed it for so long, ever since John Pemberton came up with his, could we call it concussion? Because Coca-Cola did not actually start as a drink. Coca-Cola actually started as like a tonic for all ailment by a pharmacist, all right, called John Pemberton. So he mixed these things together, and his bookkeeper named it Coca-Cola because it was cocaine, cocaine from cocoa leaf, and caffeine from cola nut, hence Coca-Cola. So John Pemberton isn't a business person. He just was a pharmacist. So within a short while, from 1886 to like 1892 was when John Pemberton was doing anything with the Coca-Cola, until he sold it to another pharmacist, all right? That's Asa Chandler. Now, Asa Chandler wasn't just a pharmacist. Asa Chandler was a pharmacist and a businessman. So he wanted to take something a little bit further. So he partnered with a bottling company to say, okay, well, I own a soda company. Why not I put this, a mix of cocaine from coca leaf and caffeine from cola nut into my soda and make it into a beverage. And that is it. From selling like 900 gallon, they started selling over 300 and something thousand gallon, if you like. It did not take long before Coca-Cola was sold for about 25 million pounds just within 3 decades, from $2,300 rather, excuse to the Americans, and it was sold for $25 million. And now it was sold, and a guy called Ernest Woodruff, who gave it to his son, Richard, to be the president, took it global. There was a time that even in China, all right, Coca-Cola was the only beverage company, packaging beverage company allowed to sell beverage in China. So Coca-Cola really enjoyed this, but it got to a time when a company said, no, we've had enough of this. We want a chunk of that market. We definitely want a chunk of that market. And they were ready to play the game to get the chunk of that market. So they employed gurus, fantastic people who can think about, oh, how do we get into a chunk of the market by understanding the core customer of that market. So they came out with what they call the Pepsi Challenge in 1975. Now, what the Pepsi Challenge was, Pepsi started going into shopping mall and doing what we call a blind taste test. So they just cover up Coca-Cola and Pepsi and say to customer, you know what, have a drink without knowing which you're drinking, and after which, tell us which you prefer. So they did the Pepsi Challenge, which is still ongoing anyway, and guess what? Pepsi actually won. And you would wonder why it was a challenge run by Pepsi. So they did the challenge, Pepsi won. So all over the country, it was moving here and there. Pepsi tastes better than Coke and things like that. It was really a war for the chunk. So how they wanted to win this war is not seeking some meat around secret recipe. They wanted to get into the mind of the core customer, of the vital customer of Coca-Cola that deliver their chunk. That is what they want to do. They know if they have the core of Coca-Cola in their hand, they will be able to replicate and duplicate the chunk of Coca-Cola. And even to their own surprise, it was very successful. And Coca-Cola couldn't bear it. They weren't having it. This is too much. We're going to lose our empire here. So Coca-Cola actually did exactly what Pepsi was expecting. They were not thinking with their emotion. They were using their emotion to think. They were jumpy and scared. And what did they do? They go out there and they say, oh, we have new Coke. So new Coke. And then the Coca-Cola fans said, new Coke, about over 400,000 Coca-Cola fans wrote to say, how dare you, new Coke, bring back our old Coke. But they couldn't bring back old Coke and call it old Coke. So they brought back old Coke and called it Coke Classic. So when you go into the store and you see Coke Classic, all right, that is actually your old Coke, called Coke Classic. So now this actually did not do anything for Coca-Cola because it was a disaster. Now Coca-Cola was a divided house with some of its customers saying new Coke is better, classic Coke is better, but they were busy rioting amongst themselves. They couldn't actually dare contest bragging rights with the fans of Pepsi. It was a show of shame for Coca-Cola. But why this war is because the chunk is important. Coca-Cola was trying to protect their chunk. So that is a war for chunk. And it goes on and on. If you sit down and you go into like and these are free information online. You go into like annual revenue for companies, breakdown of annual revenue, you see clearly the 80-20 in action, because you see that 80% of their revenue actually come from a particular 20%. And don't get me wrong, it might not be exactly 20%, all right? It could be 20, it could be 25, but it's always little to create many. Like if you look at M&S, Marks and Spencer, year in, year out, their core for chunk is M&S Foods. Put together M&S Furniture, put together M&S Banking or Finance, wherever they do, all right? And M&S Fashion, put everything together, they only contribute just about a little over 20% to the revenue of M&S. All the 80% or thereabout chunk of M&S actually comes, all right, from M&S Foods. So for M&S, all right, the food section is the core that deliver their chunk. And they will do anything to keep that core going. It's not that they don't care about the other services, all right, but they know that once their chunk keeps going, the other services, the trivial many, can enjoy what we call economic of scale, all right, of the core. That's why if anybody should win any like cooking competition, you become the celebrating master chef or whatever, M&S is immediately giving you a call to say, hey, you know that's your recipe, you need to give it to us, you need to cook it for us, and we put your picture on it with your signature, and then it goes into what we use to serve our core customers. And say, oh, I can't cook all you'll be serving around. Don't worry, we don't need you cooking it anyway. We just need your picture or your signature and your name on it saying you cook it. And then you just get into the mind of the core that deliver the chunk of M&S, and the chunk keeps being replicated because M&S is looking after their core. If you look at the company like Tata Motors now, if you look at their annual revenue year in, year out, about 70% of their revenue actually comes from Jaguar Land Rover. Now, Tata Motors and other businesses of Tata contribute just about 20% to the revenue. About 80% rather comes from Jaguar Land Rover. So the core chunk of Jaguar Land Rover is actually, the core chunk of Tata is actually Jaguar Land Rover. So you need to understand this. The core that delivers your chunk in everything you're doing, it saves you time, it saves you energy, and it gives you more results. If it's in an organization, you need to know what are high value activities that your employer would appreciate. Strategically put yourself in the place where you are the one delivering that activity rather than just walking in and ticking boxes every day. Then you make yourself a vital few, and then you climb the ladder. And this is also beneficial if you are, a business owner, irrespective. You must know the little that deliver the chunk for yourself. Now, let me share some video with you. It's quite some funny videos around what I was saying about the war for chunk between Pepsi and Coca-Cola.
This is the taste. This is the test. Pepsi versus Coke, the Pepsi Challenge. And all across America, more people pick Pepsi. Time after time after time. Pepsi Cola. All the time, it's gonna be Pepsi now. Taste is Pepsi. It's gonna be Pepsi now. Taste of Pepsi is gonna be Pepsi now.
You're about to take the Pepsi challenge. You know, I have 2 bottles of cola back here, and you don't know which is which.
No, I don't.
We have never met before.
That's correct.
Wait, okay. Except at my sister's wedding. But beside that, we've never met. Okay, now I'm going to pick this up and tell me which one you chose.
Pepsi.
You know, in tests like these nationwide, more people prefer to taste the Pepsi over Coca-Cola.
Pepsi's much better. It's delicious. It's down nice and smooth. The taste is good.
It's great. Take the Pepsi challenge. Let your taste decide. Right, guys? Right!
In Chicago, more and more people are taking the Pepsi challenge, like here at the Woodfield Shopping Center.
It's Pepsi.
Oh, it's Pepsi.
Pepsi. This is the same kind of test we gave people all across the country.
A very big difference.
Nationwide, more people prefer Pepsi over Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I am surprised. My mother always told me there was no difference in taste of Coke and Pepsi, but there is.
Take the Pepsi challenge. Let your taste decide.
Pepsi's better.
It made my taste buds feel good. Pepsi is better.
And guess who wasn't happy with that?
Recently, an independent research firm ran a taste test between Coke and Pepsi, and the taste more people chose was the taste of Coca-Cola. Yes, more people all across the country, when comparing Coke to Pepsi, chose the taste of Coke as the better taste. Let's look at it this way. We gave America a choice, and more people said Coke is it.
It's a test. It's a Coke. Coke is it.
Well, Pepsi just disagree with that because Coke just wasn't listening.
Oh, no. I tell my husband to bring home the boss, and he brings home his boss. This is the boss I meant, the 64-ounce bottle from Pepsi-Cola. Easy shape for handling and just the right size for a crowd of Pepsi drinkers. Lets me pour more than 12 5-ounce servings of great-tasting Pepsi. So if you pour a lot of Pepsi, bring home the boss. The 64-ounce boss, that is, from Pepsi-Cola.
Enough of storytelling now. This is where the show begins. What I'm going to do now is we're going to go into what I call the 80-20 gym. Let's try as much as possible to see if we can mold our mind to call for chunk. Let's see if we can mold our mind to be able to focus on the vital few that deliver the chunk, the high value, the core that deliver your chunk. Once you take care of the core that delivers your chunk, others will enjoy the economic of scale. You spend less time, you spend less effort, but you must understand the core that deliver your chunk. Again, the customers that do you right, the services that do you right, that deliver the chunk 80% of the reward you're looking for. So let's go here. You can turn on the volume of your device now because it's about to get noisy in here. Now, what this is, let's explain this to yourself. Now you see every other thing here, if even it kind of mirror what is in the red here, it is not the core. These are the trivia many. But you want to focus, as I said, on the red that delivers the green. That is your chunk. So this might look like the chunk, but it is not the chunk. For everything in your workplace, every activity in your business, the customer, the service you give to them, you need to ask yourself the question, is it part of the remaining 20? I don't want that, I want 80. Is it high value? No. Is it value adding? Of course it is value adding, but is it just trivial and part of the rest? Yes. What I want to focus on is the call for chunk, the red that delivers the green, irrespective of what the trivia many looks like, in color, in shape. If it is a trivia many, it is a trivia many. It won't deliver as much as the core. It won't deliver as much as the high value. It won't deliver as much as the vital few. And let me tell you another thing about that diagram. Should you lose any of the trivia few, say you are a business owner, should you lose any of this trivia few, you are only losing a part of 20%. And should you lose all of them together, you have just lost 20%. But should you lose one of your core, it could cost you the whole of 80%. So you must know that your core for chunk, it affects everything. I told you how obsessed I am about it. I saw it everywhere. Even you as a Muslim, if you look into your prayer, your salah, they are part of your salah that are obligatory. They are part of your salah that are the vital few, and they are part of your salah. They are important. We're not saying they're not important. However, compared to the vital few, they are trivial many. Now, like saying your takbir, that is core. Your sujood is core. Your ruku is core. If you miss one of the trivia many in salat, do you replace the correction with a trivia? No, you have to make a sujood. You have to replicate a core to correct the trivia. That is why I say every of your trivia enjoy economic of scale of the vital few. But imagine if you miss one of the vital few in one of your rakah, can you correct it in any way? But you replacing that vital few. If you miss your ruku, that rakah is gone. You have to bring another rakah, and you must respect the fact that I have missed a core. You have to do another core, which is sujood, to replicate the correction. So even in your salat, core for chunk, vital few, apply. I did not say so. It is Allah that says so. Now let us go to the next slide. What I want you to do in the next slide, I want you to focus. Whatever happened in the next slide that is not red for green, tune it out. Just focus on that red that say the core. You can read it out in your mind. The core, the high value, the vital few that delivers the chunk. And keep doing that until all the distraction that I'm about to put to the table goes away. How did you do? Were you able to focus on the core for chunk, or were you distracted? If you think I put that music in there for you to enjoy it, you don't get the point. You were meant to tune it out with every other thing you need to tune out to sharpen your skill, sharpen your mind at focusing on what matters. Try again. you do this time? Were you able to tune things away and focus on what matters? Have another go. So what says the time? Now, my obsession again of 80-20, I was looking at the clock and I actually saw that we actually need to make 12 jumps before we make o'clock. Because 60 minutes make an hour and you have to make 12 chord jump to reach an hour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 chord jump to make every hour. There are 60 minutes in an hour. If you look at it, you wouldn't be able to argue with my obsession that 12 is undeniably 20% of 60. When I found that out, I marveled. So you have been looking at 80-20 every time you look at your clock. Can you see the trivia many? Can you see the trivia many? Can you see the trivia many there? All those are the trivia many. 5 past, 10 past, 11 past, 13 past, 14 past, 34 past, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 chord jump are the vital few that deliver every hour. I think I must have been kind of inducting you into the league of 80-20 Obsession Club. And to congratulate you on your induction, I actually wrote you a poem so that it sticks in. "80-20 strike o'clock. Tick, tick, say the clock. 60 minutes makes 1 hour. 12 chord jump make o'clock. 20 resting on 100 by 60 is 12. 12 is 20% of 60. Can you tell what the time says? 80-20 strikes o'clock. The time is very instructive. What you need to do is to understand your core. Understand what makes your clock tick. Go behind the clock, wind the gear to get the ticking clicking. Replicate your core. Tick, tick, say the core. More core, ticking, more opportunities clicking. And when you replicate, what did I say you do? Duplicate, not anymore. When you keep on replicating and duplicating, what you do is you multiply your chunks. Focus on the red core. And over the years, you will stay in business. Over the years, you will grow your business. Over the year, you will weather the storm. Over the year, you will keep focusing on core. And what you will do is you will keep multiplying your chunk and sustaining your success. Tell what the time says again. This time I'll keep quiet and let you do it. Time is instructive, 80-20 strike o'clock. Now your 80-20 objective. You identify your core, you know what makes your core tick, you replicate it, you duplicate it, you do not get comfy. Pepsi got comfy. If not, they would have done better. You see, when people actually did the Pepsi taste, the Pepsi challenge test, they could have actually given them some voucher, okay, they will call coupon and say, you know what, not only drink it this, when you get home, go into your nearest store and get also a case for yourself. If they had done that, maybe people would have even tuned even more to Pepsi rather than Coke. However, well, over the years, you know, Pepsi has been doing very, very well, more than Coke, at least from 2016 to 18, the revenue of Pepsi went up, okay, 3%, yeah. However, it was from 62 billion to 67 billion. However, the revenue of Coke actually went down by 24% between 2016 and 18. It went from 41.9 billion to about 31.9 billion. I know, you know, Pepsi have also got hands in some other businesses like, you know, food, you know, and some other snack industry. However, majority of that revenue from Pepsi comes from the Pepsi challenge. So you must know to continue. What Pepsi did not do is to continue. And that continue is a lecture for another day. That's the creme de la creme type of lecture. What Pepsi got wrong, that's one of the continue. And that will be a lecture for another day. But what you must know, your 80-20 objective is your core for chunk objective. You identify your core, you know what makes it tick, you replicate it. Every time you replicate, you are duplicating. Don't get comfy, keep duplicating your chunk and multiply your chunk. Now I could have chosen red for my core. It could be any color. Choose any color you like, but know that once you remember that color, it reminds you that you must replicate to multiply your chunk. So you keep on replicating your core, duplicating it, multiplying, and do not stop, you continue. So your own core could be any color. All you need to do is, if it's black, just replicate, duplicate, multiply. Replicate, duplicate, multiply. Replicate, duplicate, multiply. Replicate, duplicate, multiply. Those activities in your office that actually are vital, few, value adding, try to put yourself strategically doing those things and climb the ladder of your career. Those customers and services that you have now, after this lecture, gone to see in your invoice that, wow, it is true. It is this kind of mix of customers that actually give me my chunk. Replicate them. Once you're replicating them, you will duplicate that chunk. Imagine you making a multiple of 80% of your revenue year in, year out. In no time, you'll be playing golf in Scotland. Again, for the last time today, let's tell what the time says. 80-30, strike o'clock. Tick, say the clock. 60 minutes makes an hour. 12 chord jump, make a clock. 50 by 20, 100 is 12. 12 is 20% of 60. Again, now tell what the time is. 80-20, strike a clock. I'm going to leave you with a phrase today, a phrase you always remember because it will take you time to actually memorize my lousy poem. So I'll give you a phrase to remember. 80-20, strike a clock. 80-20, call for chunk. 80-20, strike a clock. 80-20, call for chunk. I'll round up by thanking you for the opportunity of allowing me into your space today. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'd like to say a big thank you to our dear and beloved brother, Brother Ishaq, for giving us this very interesting and instructive insight into 80-20 and how we can apply that to our various situations, whether that be our professional lives, our business lives, our personal lives, etc. So inshallah, as mentioned, if you do have questions, we want you to post them in the chat box, inshallah, and then we can get through them. So we do have one question, and it's from Uncle Bode, and he says, is there a methodology for identifying or working out one's 20% core? So yeah, is there a methodology for actually how you arrive at that? Because in your framework, you've mentioned to know one's core, but is there a methodology to actually correctly identify what one's core 20% really is?
Now, as I said in one of the slide over there, all right, you walk with the end in mind. So for you to identify your core, look at your chunk. If you're in business, take your invoice, look at it. By the time you look at your invoices and you look at the services you render, you will be able to narrow down that, excuse me, oh, I made $600,000. Oh, 80% actually come from this particular type of customers, all right? Or maybe you have like 10 products you sell and you see that, oh, 80% of my revenue actually come from selling bubble gums and biscuits, all right? The turnover is 100,000. However, I'm looking at my invoice and 80,000 of that turnover of $100,000, all right, is coming from the sale of bubblegum and biscuit, all right? I also sell tissues, I sell shirts, and I sell 8 other items, but they only contribute to my, the remaining 20%. So bubblegum and biscuits is your core. Now, you now need to understand the lovers of bubblegum and biscuit. What else would they love? All right. So you get into the mind of the core customer that deliver your chunk. So the lovers of bubblegum and biscuit, what else would they love? All right. Is it when they've ruined their teeth with the bubblegum? Do you want to come up with something that will sort them out? Stick that in there. All those who would ruin their teeth, eating your bubble gum, will come buying the remedy to sort it out. So that's what businesses do. They understand their core, all right? And that is understanding your chunk and working your way back to understand your core. And that is what Pepsi did with Coca-Cola. Now, you know that Coca-Cola has got about hundreds of other products. All right, the Pepsi challenge was not for all the products of Coca-Cola. The Pepsi challenge was only for the core that delivered the chunk for Coca-Cola. So Pepsi challenge was only comparative between Coke and Pepsi. Coke also do other cola drinks that are not Coke, but Pepsi was not interested in that. So you work with the end in mind, and then you narrow it down, coming back to your core as delivered, as described by your chunk.
Barakallahu feek. So in the comments, we have others who have thanked you for delivering this lecture for us. We don't have any additional questions unless anybody wants to ask. As I give people an opportunity to do that, I plugged it at the beginning of this program. But now that we're towards the end, the Muslim platform is endeavoring to register as a charity. And in order to achieve that charitable status, we do need to raise some funds, inshallah. So we're hoping that our core members who come to the chunk of all the programs we put on, whether that be the Muslim Family Series or the lessons in fiqh that we put on, or the Muslims in Business series as we have today. We're hoping that this core of people, inshallah, will be the first to gain and benefit from the opportunity and reward that comes from helping us to establish this Muslim platform as a charity, inshallah. So in the chat box, we've posted and shared the sort code and account details. Inshallah, on the YouTube channel, we'll probably post it and pin it as a message. But barakallahu feek to everyone who took the time out of their busy schedules to attend today. May Allah accept it from you. May Allah allow you to take benefit from this. Brother Ishaq, any parting words, any last words before we close?
No, not at all. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Barakallahu feek. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And we'll see you in our program next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.